So every generation faces a story that asks the same question. What's the price of success, and how much of your soul are you willing to spend to keep it? The price isn't always in dollars. Sometimes the cost is your own peace. Now, with Spike Lee's Highest to Lowest, he asked this question through the eyes of a man who has everything money can buy. But does he have that peace? Now, from the very first shot, you see a bright New York sunrise scored to Oh, What a Beautiful Morning. Now, the irony strikes because it's a perfect day, but something uneasy is humming beneath. That's Spike's language. He gives us paradise, then he asks, what did it cost for you to get there? Now, the film is inspired by Kurosawa's High and Low, and it follows Denzel Washington as David King, a music mogul at the crossroads between legacy and survival. Ilfenesh Hadera, she brings quiet death as Pam King, a woman who still loves her husband but is tired of watching ambition eat at his spirit. Then there's Jeffrey Wright as Paul Christopher. He's David's longtime friend and driver whose tragedy tests the foundation of their brotherhood. And then, of course, you have ASAP Rocky as young felon. Now, he's the chaos that shakes their world, a young artist desperate to be seen, even if it costs him everything. Now, the story begins with a kidnapping and a ransom, but that's just the setup. The real tension is moral. What happens when your principles collide with your profits? That's the mantra. All money ain't good money. It runs through the film like a straight up heartbeat. Now, David, he built his label to celebrate Black artistry, but the industry has shifted. Passion is now replaced by metrics, art by algorithms. As one character says, attention is the only true currency right now. Now, when David refuses to sell his company to protect the artists he's nurtured, he's not just defying investors, he's defying really a system. Even Pam, his wife, questions whether his integrity is even worth that cost. She doesn't quite crave the fame or the wealth. She just wants her husband back. She wants the man he was before the success pretty much hardened him. Now, visually, it's pure Spike Lee, the film. It's bold colors, precise framing, that electric New York City pulse. To me, no one captures the city's rhythm like Spike Lee. Now, the music adds its own story. You have James Brown, who comes through on one pivotal scene, like an ancestral heartbeat, if you will. Then you have Young Felon's closing track that hits like a haunting sermon. So together they echo a truth that our rhythm is sacred, but it's been sold too many times to the highest bidder. And also, one of the top scenes of the film was this chase scene. That was quite interesting and intense. And Spike used that as an opportunity to show love, of course, to his Yankees and the Mets and all that. You know, Spike is a big sports guy. And he also showed love to Puerto Rican culture, which is also a major part of hip hop culture. And of course, a major part of New York culture. So that was also a very good scene. Now, I have to say that I truly enjoyed the father and son relationships in this film. You have Trey, who is David's son. They had some pretty intense scenes together. I liked how David reminded Trey that he is the only king in this home because Trey was hard on his father, saying, you know, I have a father who had the best ears in the business, but he has the coldest heart. That was a quite an interesting statement he made. And he also just wanted his father to pay the money like money was no thing. But his father just reminded him about really the energy of money. Again, all money ain't good money. And also, what was a recurring statement in the movie was, now is the time. So that was quite interesting. And his son also started to become victim or concerned about some of the conspiracy theories that were hitting the internet about his father. And that's very telling as well about today. A lot of people are online and they believe conspiracy theories. Those theories become truth, and that can definitely be dangerous. But overall, David was just concerned that his life has been reduced to numbers. But Paul also made some profound statements. Like one statement that really stood out was when he said, you either build or you destroy. And that's just very telling with a lot of our leaders today. Are they building or are they destroying? And I also have to say, shout out to Paul because he ended up getting into his own street justice, if you will, to get the job done. So shout out to him. Now, once that street justice happened, one of the most powerful moments came up in the film. It comes when David confronts young Felon in the studio. Anger gives way to the truth when he asks, "Why does she have to be a bee?" It's quiet, but it lands loud and heavy to me. The film doesn't condemn hip hop as a whole, it actually honors it, its history, its rhythm, its rebellion, its brilliance. But it also shines a light on its self destructive edges, the misogyny, the glorification of violence at times, the quiet self hate that can hide inside certain lyrics. Now, some were uncomfortable with this critique, but there's some truth in it. I've heard young people use that same language just casually on trains and on the street, and I always wonder, like, who taught you that? Where did you hear that? Now, somewhere along the line, art that was meant to liberate started echoing the same pain it came from. And some people took the money for it. Remember, all money ain't good money, but they cashed those checks that came at the cost of their community and conscience. Now, Spike Lee has always had a gift for mixing satire with sorrow, and Highest to Lowest feels both cinematic and painfully current. The obsession with pain, the public's thirst for scandal, the commodification of pain, it's all in this film. When protesters chanted for young felons' freedom, it mirrors our own world where villains go viral and morality bends to the algorithm, a culture caught in the trap of groupthink. But underneath the chaos lies redemption. David King, stripped of comfort and control, he finds clarity in loss. He walks away from the empire he built to start something smaller and more honest. He tells a young artist, which I loved, "Can you handle the hard times? Because the hard times will come from the success." That line could honestly sum up the whole film and maybe just the whole game, period. Success tests your hunger, but failure tests your heart. So keep your heart as pure as possible. Protect your peace and don't sell your soul. Now, Spike Lee's direction balances tragedy and truth, turning the film into both sermon and spectacle, rooted in the rhythm of Black culture and Puerto Rican culture, and the danger of what happens when that rhythm gets auctioned off. Now, when the credits roll and Young Felon's closing track plays, it lingers like a warning and a confession. The story ends, but the question doesn't. What are you willing to pay to be seen? This is Real Blue. I'm Stacey Brewer. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.